Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to another Sunday, another 5 metas every pro should know. Episode 30 today. We've already hit 30 episodes, which is crazy. I've been doing this for 30 weeks. All right. Today we're covering Italy. Italy is probably one of my favorite countries to region guess, at least. Super diverse in landscape, because you got Sicily and Sardinia thrown in there as well. And just a beautiful country overall. So I think you can see a lot of cool architecture. Very cool sights to see, and nice natural beauty as well. And just a place with a lot of history, of course. So very cool country to guess in. Probably one of my favorites, as I mentioned. But yeah, we've got 5 pretty good metas here today. We're going to be covering some architecture stuff, some landscape stuff, and, everything in between. So hopefully you guys stick around, and hopefully you guys learn something, and hope you guys enjoy the video. Clara wants you to subscribe. So click that subscribe button now. And also, like the video. Thanks. Enjoy the video. Alright, in the beautiful country of Italy today, we're going to be starting off with the Piana del Fucino Valley. Hopefully I pronounced that okay for you Italians. But this valley here, just east of Rome, is very distinct if you look on the map. Because everywhere else in Rome, you look at all of these roads, as you can see here, all pretty much pretty ununiform, pretty no rhyme or reason to it. It's just going whichever way you can to get through and around the mountains. Because, obviously this region is very mountainous. Even in Po Valley, there is some not east-west roads. It's just, diagonal roads. However, they split up the land up there. But in this valley, it's very, very east-west, as you can see. There's only this random circle road here that just randomly does not go east-west. But pretty much this entire valley is east-west, surrounded by mountains as well. And you get a variation of Gen 2. The Gen 2 is going to be taken in winter mostly. So you will get a lot of snow-capped mountains all around you, essentially, in this one. And it's a very recognizable one just because, as you can tell, we're going exactly north-south on this road. And it's Gen 2 plus the winter coverage. Very recognizable stuff. They did also cover it in Gen 4, but it's mainly on the main roads here. So you kind of get this sun's directly above. You kind of get this weird foggy coverage, I would say. But you can still see that the mountains are all around us, and we are going exactly north-south, which is weird for any road. Different Gen 4 coverage here. Yeah, as you can see, mountains all around us going directly north-south. So once again, very recognizable. Right on the other side of this aqueduct, or whatever it is, you do go back to Gen 2. So, it is very, it is a very recognizable area, but you definitely need to get the feel, because you can get all 3 gens here, as you can see, Gen 3 as well on this east-west road. But once again, mountains all around us, late November. Not as much snow on the mountains, but still there nonetheless. And then, this Gen 2, of course, is in July. So they've definitely covered this valley a lot of times. But it's definitely a very recognizable one just because of the grid line. So definitely take a look at it yourself. And hopefully you can get that feel. Because whenever you get this valley, it is very recognizable. I believe on one of my Road to Number 1 episodes, I did get this valley. I didn't recognize it. Just because, I'm not really looking at road angle in Italy, I guess. But I think this is one of the instances in which you could, especially if you have mountains all around you like this and you're in a huge valley. But yeah, very valuable thing to learn, and you can get a nice region guess down in Italy with that one. All right, the next thing we're going to be talking about is some agricultural stuff now. So we're going to start off with cacti. Cacti, as you guys know, is found on pretty much this southern part of Italy. Very common in this area near Bari and south of Bari here that I'm circling. Very common on Sicily, of course, and then in Sardinia, it's mostly on the southern part, but you can get it throughout the island. It's probably most common, I would say, on the Sicilian island, and then this area with all the rock walls in the southeast, like the heel of the boot, as many would say. Yeah, but you get a lot of, I think this is prickly pear, because it's exactly like the cacti that you would get in San Luis Potosi, most commonly in Mexico. Yeah, you do have this prickly pear cactus. Let me know if that's not correct, by the way, botanist, in the comments. But yeah, you do get this cactus pretty much everywhere. Towards the south, of Italy, which makes sense because you get a drier, much more arid climate as you move towards the Mediterranean Sea. So yeah, cactus, general rule of thumb, if you see it, go south in Italy. And the other thing that we're talking about that is south mainly is citrus plantations. So you will get a lot of fruit trees, especially towards the south, because it is better better for growing that citrus, just being in a more tropical, arid climate. Kind of like, you know, how Florida produces all of, or like the majority of the citrus in the United States. Just because it is so tropical. Yeah, a lot of fruit trees here. This one's in Gen 2. Very cool, recognizable mountains. We're just on the tip of the boot there. And then mainly in Sicily, you'll get these a lot. So huge orange plantations. And here's another example, but this one isn't like fully grown in yet. Looks like September. They probably picked it all at that point. But this one in November, for some reason, has the fruits. Yeah, I don't know why. Anyway. It is found most commonly to the west of Catania here, and then like on this tip of the boot in Italy. And then the last thing that we're moving on to in agricultural stuff, agricultural clues, can't speak, is rice. And rice is mainly going to be found in the Po Valley here, this area towards between the Alps and these intermediate mountains here, going down to Rome. And you will get a lot of rice grown in this area just because it is so flat. Perfect conditions for growing rice as well. And I assume, you know, that you just get a lot of rice here just because it was always grown here. But yeah, a lot of rice in this Po Valley area. So if you do see rice, I mean, you don't really need rice to distinguish the Po Valley area, but you can make a nice region guess because it is mainly found in this hub here and then right where this marker is here. Those are the two main places that you get rice grown. Obviously, not super consistent, but it does work a decent amount of the time. All right, the next thing that we're talking about is we're moving down to Sardinia here, and Sardinia is quite recognizable just because of its prevalence of gray rocks. So these gray rocks, as you can see, kind of just sticking up out of the pavement, or not out of the pavement, out of the ground, just kind of these rocky cliff structures. Here's probably the best example where it's just like randomly sticking out like this out of the ground, and I guess it's just like, I don't know, very cool looking mountain stuff. But yeah, you can get this pretty much everywhere here. That's not to say that you can't get this stuff on Sicily as well, because you definitely can. If I were to just click around on Sicily, like let's just click here, might be a bit harder to find, but yeah, you can get some very dry looking mountains here. Sardinia will be a bit more green, I would say, in terms of its landscape. So if you look around here, you can definitely see more greenery, but you definitely get this these rocky things sticking out of the ground, much like you can get in Sicily. But yeah, if you see these, it's mainly northeast in Sardinia, but you can definitely get it throughout the island. But my main examples are in the northeast because that's where it is most common. Probably definitely going to have to do some testing on this meta because it's not super reliable, but it is something that definitely works. And yeah, probably not the best idea to go mainland Italy at least. At least you can rule out mainland Italy if you see rocks similar to these in Sardinia, especially. All right, we got 6 good architecture metas on deck for you today. So we got the Tuscany brown and gray bricks, kind of similar to bricks that you can get in Spain. But yeah, it's just going to be this brown gray brick mixture here. This is a great example right here of the brown and gray bricks, which, you know, you do get a lot in Spain. But like, obviously, this is pretty clearly Italy with the short license plates and, you know, towns like this, very beautiful and such. But yeah, a lot of brown and gray bricks, especially in this Tuscany area. So you do see brown and gray bricks, and especially towns like this just made of brown and gray bricks. It's a good idea to visit that or click in that Tuscany area just because it is so heavy in prevalence there. All right, on Alpine architecture, I've only gotten 3 examples just because, you know, it is pretty recognizable at this point. You'll get the same architecture in both Austria and Switzerland and even in the southeastern part of France here. But by Alpine architecture, it's kind of just this stonework with like very wooden like decorations on the on the buildings and such. This is probably the best example. Stonework at the bottom, the wooden trim kind of highlighting the windows and such, and then just this kind of like chalet looking architecture. And yeah, pretty common throughout all of the Alps in Italy. So yeah, if you see that architecture, it's pretty easy to send Alps. Region guessing, however, is a different story, unless we're talking about the Aosta gray brick. So this area here, near Mont Blanc and the Matterhorn, you will get a lot of gray brick architecture here, and that's pretty much found around this area of Aosta. But yeah, you can see a ton of gray brick here. This is probably the best example, where it's just like this full gray brick house, a little bit of some kind of trim there. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, just a lot of gray brick being used in this area for some reason. Probably a pretty heavy prevalence of gray brick there. All right, the other thing that will help you guess north, especially in this valley here, like just northwest of Venice and then towards the Slovenian border, you'll get these solid wooden shutters. So by solid wooden shutters, I just mean like these, when closed, you can fully see that they're fully wooden, and they'll usually have these black like latches on both sides. So that's a pretty good indication that you are in the northeast part of Italy there. All right, and then this is really good for the like heel of the boot, I would say, in Italy, that Bari area. Pretty infamous at this point for GeoGuessr players, just because, you know, there is a lot of rock walls, a lot of cacti there. Can get very, sometimes baity. But by, you know, light facade, flat roof, plus 2 or 3 story building, kind of similar to like Maltese architecture in a way. In some ways here, like this could be a building that you could see in Malta, very light, flat roof and such. And yeah, just light flat roofs. This one not as much because they are a little bit colored, but they are lighter colored, as you can see. It's very recognizable, and like I've always thought, oh, how can I always vibe these near Bari like towns or cities, just because of, if you're into urban, it's very hard to guess urban Italy sometimes. And I always thought of it as a vibe, but now I just kind of recognize it as just being like flat roofed, very white buildings, or light colored buildings in general, and like these 2 or 3 story things. I always just thought it was a vibe, but I guess my brain kind of processed that was the case for that area of Italy, and was able to put that together by reading the Plunkett guide. So that was great. And then the last thing here is the Trullo roof. And then this is found pretty much in this Bari area as well, but mainly found around this town of Alberobello, and then Villaggio del Pensiulo. And yeah, by Bella roof, we pretty much just mean like these cone-shaped things. If you guys have seen Parks and Rec, kind of reminds me of Cones of Dunshire kind of stuff. I don't like, probably a very niche reference for those of you guys have not, but kind of reminds me of Cone of Dunshire stuff. When Ben Wyatt plays that game with those tech startup people. But yeah, we do have the cones pretty much found in this area. So if you do see cones like this and you know you're in Italy, this is a really good place to guess, and you can get a really niche region guess down on that one. All right, and then the last one that I selected that like kind of wasn't in the Plunkett guide is a very recognizable ridge, which is the Gargano National Park Ridge. So this area, like north of Foggia, is very flat. You will get mountains towards the west, mountains towards the east, but the mountain toward the east is very recognizable. It's just going to be like this very flat-looking ridge here, and pretty easy to line-upable, as I would say. But yeah, you can see it from a great distance as well, but it is like an extremely flat one. Kind of reminds me of this ridge that is in Mexico here, the Sierra del Abra Tanchipa. Let's see if I can get a good view of it here. But yeah, it's just this very flat looking ridge. I mean, it's not quite as flat as this one, but you know, it is quite similar in the way that it's just kind of standalone, and it's just kind of sticking up out of the ground. You won't see any other mountains to the east besides that. You will get like these mountains to the west as well, these small little foothills, but like it's a very flat ridge. So definitely a good meta. And if you're on this highway or in this area in this valley, it's pretty easy to line up and get the 5K, especially if you're on a 2-lane road like this. It's this highway with this very flat mountain here. All right, that's going to conclude our 5 metas every pro should know Sunday, episode 30, with Italy here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, of course, and I'll see you guys next Sunday for another 5 metas every pro should know video. Peace.